Trees uprooted, roofs ripped off, and debris scattered all across the southeast.
You could just hear the roar, and it was not high winds. It was, you could tell it was something else.
Boom, and I turned around and like the back windshield of my car, or the back window of my car was like busted out and the baby was just crying.
Heavy rain and hail pummels metro Atlanta.
A different kind of crash, with falling trees adding to already dangerous conditions.
And tonight, a new concern.
That car is almost all the way under.
Fear floods in as rivers rise and roads turn into rivers.
Heavy rains and high water, it's always very, very dangerous. Don't ever try to drive through the water.
Good evening. I'm Russ Spencer.
I'm Courtney Bryant. Thanks for joining us tonight. Here in Georgia, torrential rain and damaging winds slammed the state from early this morning through the afternoon. We have live team coverage on the new threat. Fox 5's Alex Whitler is in East Point, where more than 20 people lost their homes.
Plus, Fox 5 Storm Team Chief Meteorologist David Chanley has been tracking the intense weather all day. We want to begin with David. And David, the torrential rain has stopped, but the rivers and creeks, they're still rising.
You're going to get a lot of runoff through tonight. Well, we're going to see even some more showers overnight tonight, but as the streams and the creeks feed into the rivers, everything's going to be rising the ground, very saturated. It's going to be a mess out there.
More than 1,000 victims of car break-ins in the city of Atlanta in just 5 weeks. We break down the numbers from police. 7 presidential candidates take the debate stage in the middle of a high-stakes campaign week in South Carolina.
South Carolina is going to determine who the next president of the United States is going to be.
You know, you're hearing on TV a lot, Bernie can't win. Don't believe everything you hear on TV.
The stakes are so high in this race.
Billionaire Mike Bloomberg may have been in the hot seat last week.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
But tonight, it's Bernie's turn. Senator Sanders has been hit from all sides as the moderates go after the frontrunner. Just 10 days ago, state leaders reported Georgia's first cases of coronavirus. Today, its first death.
It is with great sadness that we have to report the state's first patient death from COVID-19.
Governor Brian Kemp is issuing a call to action.
If you feel that it is prudent, you should consider closing daycares, schools, or school districts.
And school districts are listening.
I am announcing the closing of all Fulton County schools and district offices to begin tonight.
The biggest number is in New York, 1,871. Washington is next with 1,187. California has almost 800. And here in Georgia, we have 197 at the moment. But epidemiologists tell us that the actual numbers are probably 10 times what we're looking at because so many people have yet to be tested. So what exactly are the guidelines from President Trump? Here are a few of them. First, do not spend your time with 10 or more people at once. Stop all non-essential travel, stay home whenever possible, and of course, you're hearing it not only from the president, but from health officials around the globe. Practice proper hygiene. Always wash your hands.
Today, I will be issuing an executive order requiring the Department of Public Health to require certain individuals with an increased risk of complications from COVID-19 to isolate, quarantine, or shelter in place.
A statewide shelter-in-place order is now in effect for all groups at risk, but there are new restrictions that apply to every Georgian, at risk or not. Plus, we're taking a look at where Georgia stands in comparison to the rest of the nation.
I want to just thank the American people for what they've been through and what they're doing. Our country will be stronger than ever before, and we fully anticipate that, and it won't be that long.
But Americans are wondering, how long will this last? Health experts say it depends on how seriously people listen to that message to stay at home. Even world leaders believe this pandemic depends on the people.
We can change the trajectory of this pandemic.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have an empty studio there tonight. It's because we're doing everything we can to enforce social distancing, especially now that Georgia will soon be under a shelter-in-place order.
In less than 48 hours, Georgia is set to begin reopening during the COVID-19 pandemic. Did Governor Brian Kemp make that move too soon?
I told the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, that I disagree strongly.
President Trump now appears to think so. Tonight, we're hearing both sides. COVID-19 is changing most things.
When you see 20,000 kegs that have to be destroyed, it's enough to make a grown man cry.
And the beer industry is no exception. Plus, it's a chance to help people in grave danger during this pandemic.
As a purpose-driven organization, we're always looking for ways to help the community. So what perfect time now than, a time now where people really are in panic mode and really need help.
Who's getting free service from this local moving company?
Right now.
So what I see happening on the streets of Atlanta is not Atlanta. This is not a protest. This is not in the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. This is chaos.
What began as a peaceful protest turned violent in downtown Atlanta as demonstrators demand justice in the death of George Floyd. Protesters damaged nearly a dozen police cars and even set one of them on fire.
And this is a live look at the scene tonight. Protesters not backing down.
This is a deeply emotional time, not only in Georgia, but across America.
On Atlanta's fifth day of protest, Governor Kemp addresses unrest in the city. Tonight, his strong message for what he calls unruly protesters. But are they all from Atlanta? The GBI is convinced that many of them are not, where the director believes they're coming from.
Every police officer who thinks it's okay to drag someone, beat someone, do all this stuff because they're cops, I hope they're all gonna be held accountable as well.
She is one of two college students at the center of a violent arrest in Atlanta. Now, half a dozen officers face criminal charges.
With protesters side by side for the fifth day in a row here in Atlanta, state health officials are concerned. And tonight we have team coverage of the U.S. Senate race. Fox 5's Claire Sims, Denise Dillon, and Deidre Dukes are all live for us tonight following the top three Democratic candidates.
Each of them hopes to face Republican incumbent David Perdue in November. Claire Sims is following Democratic candidate Jon Ossoff's campaign. Claire joins us now live from the state capitol with details. And Claire, this is Ossoff's first statewide race. An eighth night of protest, a seventh night of curfew. This time last week, some protesters were violent and destructive, but the trend since then has been toward peaceful demonstrations where the city stands tonight.
But we begin tonight with the legacy of Congressman John Lewis. This is a live look right now inside the Georgia State Capitol where he lies in state. Just minutes ago, the line to pay respects was closed for the night, but there are hundreds already standing in that line, and they will still get the chance to honor him tonight. Lewis arrived home in Georgia earlier this afternoon. The governor and other local leaders spoke about his legacy in a private ceremony.
No matter where you go, everyone knows the name of John Lewis.
His commitment to the struggle and getting in good trouble that gave us the opportunity to seek public office.
Like so many, I have a deep and abiding admiration for Congressman Lewis.
Congressman Lewis, a gentle giant man, spoke truth to power as a prophet ordained and called by God.
And he truly left a great legacy.
The two are going head to head in a pandemic power struggle. The governor just filed to withdraw a lawsuit against the city and the mayor over her COVID-19 regulations and her mask mandate. Now, he said Mayor Bottoms agreed to abandon Atlanta's Phase 1 rollback plan. That included recommendations for some businesses to close, but simply put, the mayor says the governor is lying and that she never agreed to that. Tonight, the governor tweeted about the ongoing saga. He wrote, "It's hard enough for small business owners to make ends meet during this pandemic. It's even harder when mayors are threatening to close you down or issue massive fines if you don't play by their rules."
There it goes.
Hurricane Sally packs a punch as it makes landfall, wreaking havoc in its path.
From Alabama to the Florida Panhandle.
My wife was just crying because she never seen this before.
Docks are destroyed, a pier split in half, and trees are tumbling.
There's a lot of trees down on houses and cars.
But the biggest threat,
Guys, this is just so surreal.
Is serious storm surge.
We're looking at record flooding, perhaps breaking historic levels.
And the threat of flooding has now reached Georgia. We're already seeing the persistent rain from Tropical Storm Sally, and it's led to tragedy in Atlanta tonight.
We start hearing this man crying for help from inside.
A man has died after a tree fell onto his home, and he wasn't the only one inside. Good evening, I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Russ Spencer. We have a lot to get to tonight. First, let's get straight to Fox 5 Storm Team Chief Meteorologist David Chanley. First, a divided House voted tonight to remove Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene from her committees.
It is an unprecedented move which reflects Democrats' outrage over her previous comments on conspiracy theories. Fox 5 anchor Christine Spiro has been following the story for us. Christine, major developments tonight.
Yeah, Courtney and Russ, her name has taken over the national headlines, I think it's safe to say, in recent weeks. The controversy surrounds comments she made on social media before running for Congress.
The deep freeze is leaving millions of people in the dark tonight, a majority of them in Texas. Video on the left here from Dallas shows empty, snow-covered highways. Officials there ordered rolling power blackouts because there was simply too much demand for electricity during the record cold temperatures. And video on the right shows Shreveport, Louisiana, where the storm dumped 6 inches of snow already.
Right now,
the suspect who we believe committed these crimes here today in Cherokee County is in custody in Crisp County.
A deadly night in North Georgia. 9 people shot in cold blood. 8 of them have died. All of those shootings happened at Asian spas. And breaking tonight, an arrest made 200 miles from the first scene. We have live team coverage tonight with crime scenes spanning 3 different locations. It started with a shooting this afternoon at Young's Asian Massage Parlor on Highway 92. And that is where we begin. Fox 5's Brian Hill is live for us tonight in Cherokee County, outside the massage parlor where 4 people died. We're told 1 person there survived.
Brian, you just got new information about the arrest.